me ask first question for the coach. Coach, what's your expectation for the match?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you very much for being here. I don't get tired to congratulate FIFA for the event we are participating. It has been a wonderful trip, a wonderful experience. Really a very, very high-level organization, and myself, obviously, my staff, and the club that I represent, we feel very proud to participate on it. Regarding the match of tomorrow, we know what we are playing for. We know what is in stake. We know very well what we want, but we also know the level of the opponent we are facing. Me particularly, and my team in this moment also, we are all aware of the difficulties that we have ahead. But we all know that a long time ago we made out of a dream an objective, and since we won the first match, we knew that we had two chances to try to qualify for the next round of the competition, and we defined two objectives from there on. Was first one, obviously, that we had to fight as much as possible to the limit of our capacities and to the last minute of each match for the best result possible, like we did in the previous one with Borussia Dortmund, where even being in a big disadvantage, we were capable to come back on the result and fight until that exact last second to try to equalize the game. But also we defined that it would be very, very important that we could all time be Mamelodi Sundowns inside the pitch. We knew that we wanted to play our football, we wanted to be loyal to the way we train, to our identity, to the level of expectations that we have from our fans, from the people that love us, and to respect the values of the club. So we put those things together in the pot, and that's what we want in the end of the match, if possible, so that we can try to be in the game until the end, but at the same time make it as close as possible to the highest limit of our identity as possible.
I, Monserrat for Molat Sportist Nigeria. Against Dortmund, despite scoring 3 goals, you conceded 4. So how do you plan to approach this game to contain Fluminense, because they played similar to Sundowns, the real Brazilian, just like your nickname. So how do you plan to contain the attack of Fluminense to ensure that you don't concede much goals?
Thank you very much. That's obviously a normal question after a game where you make a result of 4-3. It's not normal to suffer 4 goals for Mamelodi Sundowns. With me, it never happened. The maximum goals we suffered since I'm in the club was 2 goals. And even 2 goals is very rare. So obviously we played that game in a very discomfortable zone. But it's also not normal for any team to score 3 goals to Borussia Dortmund. So when you analyze the situation, you need to understand where you want to look at it. We know that if we suffer 4 goals from Fluminense, we lose the match for sure. Like it would be impossible to win to Borussia Dortmund when you get a result of 4. It's almost impossible that overcomes such a level of aggressivity in terms of suffering goals. So we have to be more complete. We also understand that that game was not normal, was very abnormal in terms of how the games appeared. If you really understand, almost or all the games appeared from situations that there was some incident that even the 4th goal is a deflection on our defender. We usually are quite strong on defense, despite we know that a little bit like Fluminense, we usually have the capacity to control more the games with the ball rather than without it. So that's what we need to do tomorrow, is try to manage the game as much as possible in the moments we have the ball. Also to manage the rhythm of the game, to try to always be with the players together in the different parts of the pitch, both in defense and in attack, so that we travel together everywhere, because that's how we need to be, with short distances between our players, so that we can touch the ball and have the comfort to play it, and then look for the spaces that are more difficult to control in terms of defensive organization from the opponent. We expect a very competitive match, where the teams have obviously to take care of their defense, have to organize themselves very strongly to avoid the quality of the players that can score. I think that happens with both, not only with us. But at the same time, I don't expect a very closed game. I expect that the teams fight for a result deeply. Both teams want to win. There will be no one fighting for nothing more than the victory. But even when you have that desire, you need to be cautious with and cope with all moments of the game, for sure.
Coach Lorenzo from South Africa. The Fluminense coach said something interesting. Obviously, it's an early kickoff, 3 o'clock kickoff, but it's going to be very hot. And with you guys playing very similar styles of play, it's about them trying to keep the ball away from you guys. Do you feel the same way? Because obviously he's insinuating that the team that has the ball is going to make the other team suffer more, and eventually wear them down and, you know, win the game.
Yeah, and it's good you put this question because I didn't answer it. I also was asked about the heat and I forgot to answer. Obviously that the heat is an influence on the level of the game, mostly on its intensity. I remember that in the beginning of the preparation for this match, we discussed it among ourselves with the players that the metrics on our previous games, both on PSL matches and CAF Champions League matches. What was our physical output? What were the matches where we were? Which were the matches where we were on the top of the tops? Even because we came from the final of the Champions League, and I was curious to see some things. And I was expecting that in this World Cup we could take ourselves to the limit in terms of our the physical impact of the game. It means make more distance, make more actions of high intensity. But when you play under the temperature that we are playing, obviously that you understand that it's not possible to take it, because we play on the limit before we arrive on those metrics. But anyway, we have been reaching interesting outputs in terms of fitness performance. But I totally agree that having the ball in the match can be decisive to manage its intensity. It seems not, but the team that has the ball runs less, mentally is submitted to a less aggressive state. And obviously that we have similar styles, despite we have different principles of the game. And I think that there will be, between commas, a clash, a fight, a war between the teams in order to try to take the game to their side. That's why I was speaking about in the question before, that we need to take the game as much as possible to our comfort zone. Because when we will be playing the game in our comfort zone, the effort that is below is the effort for which we train. If the game is taken to their comfort zone and we play a game that we don't usually play, then the effort we are doing is more aggressive for us because it's not the effort that we usually train. So the impact of the temperature, of the runs, of the exercise can be higher. It means more negative. So I agree that with the question that and the statement of Renato, saying that he will try to have the ball, and what he's saying is he'll try to manage the game until its end, to arrive on the final stages of the match in a physical positive condition, let's say. So that's why to the game I think it will be very beautiful, because both teams will try to have that moment. And I think emotionally that will be very important. Something like, now we are defending, but when we win the ball, what we're going to do immediately after we did is decisive. We cannot lose it immediately. Sometimes it's better to give a pass back and take the ball there, so that you can really take the ball and not eventually look quick for a risk pass to go in attack, because then you'll have to submit yourself again to play without the ball. And I think both teams will have that in mind. So I don't expect a lot of crazy counter-attack actions, but I expect the teams to try to be always together. Because to have the ball, you need to approach the players so that you can have passing lines. So this is what I think that both teams may try to look for. Obviously, that we know that a goal can change everything. A goal from each of the teams can change this balance or theoretical balance and create a chaos. And when a chaos happens in the game, then you don't control it too much. I don't really like chaos in games. Yeah, I don't like, because I think that is not the way we usually like to play. For example, I remember when we played Pirates away, there was a moment in second half there was some chaos in the game. I don't like, because I think that exactly when that happens, any team can score. It's not who, it's any team can score, because it comes. There's a bigger percentage of uncertainty towards the objective of the game that is scored. And I don't like my players to be submitted to this kind of moments, because you don't control the spaces then. You don't control the spaces.
Seen in this competition, teams from Africa like Alali and Porto yesterday are going against each other 4-4. And I'm wondering, as someone who have coached at least 2 clubs I know on the continent, played in the Champions League, are there notable observation in terms of do we still have gaps in the quality in African football, or notable areas of improvement?
Look, it's important we understand that the 4 teams that from Africa that are on the competition, they are in different moments. I didn't coach Ahli, I coached Esperance. Yeah. Esperance is a team that has a group of players that come from several years ago together. Despite they changed the coach in the season and already twice, they have a very strong group, what means they arrive here with a core, a very strong core. It's like Sundowns. Despite Sundowns started a process with me 8 months ago, it's a team, a group of players that come, and a club that has a strong identity. Ahli also has a strong identity, but changed the coach one month ago. And Wydad also changed the coach 1 month ago. So it's normal that those teams are in the process of readaptation to new ideas. What is clear, and everybody needs to understand, is that African football nowadays is not eventually, or it doesn't relate with the image that eventually from the past was present. The teams are very organized, the coaches have quality. Africa in general and the best teams are importing also not only foreign players of quality, but also coaches of quality that oblige the other ones also to seek for improvement. And me, myself, I'm very excited about working in Africa. I was very excited about my experience in Tunisia. But as I am absolutely outstanding, the level of excitement I have in Mamelodi Sundowns, not only because of the identity of the club that has a lot to do with myself, but by the level that I found in the way people relate with ourselves. The people of South Africa are very warm. I feel really well. And I recognize myself a lot in the country. It's a very well-developed country with a lot of potential for future, for further things. And the club where I work is absolutely a group, and lives under values that give a lot of comfort for me and allow me to develop a team for the highest level of performance. And that's what I wanted when I had the chance to accept the invitation to work in Mamelodi Sundowns.
2 last question, please.
Coach Mazola here. Just on injury update. Obviously, I mean, a lot of people have been reacted positively to Lebo coming into the team, his contribution, and we're at pains to see him struggle with what looked like a hamstring injury. I don't know what that was. You didn't have a full update when we spoke to you in Cincinnati, but perhaps you could shed some light, because he seems like he could be a huge player for Sundowns in the upcoming season, and obviously come off a 2-year injury layoff.
Look, I think everybody knows the quality of Lebo Motiv as a player. you saw the impact of him in both matches and how he impacted the game in the last one. Obviously, that for a player that had such a bad moment in terms of injury on the knee and came for the club to try to go back on his best condition, and it was a player in whom we invested a lot, because we believe so much on him. He's such a wonderful person, such a wonderful player that we need to believe, like we believe on the others. So we had to give him that respect. But unfortunately, he got injured in the last match. I think that those kind of incidents happen. I don't know if you saw, but yesterday there's also, I think, in the match between Inter Miami and Palmeiras, there's also a defender from Palmeiras that has a similar injury. At least the mechanical action seems similar. But I was entering the stadium and watching the F1 track around, and I was thinking that when you drive in high speed, the possibility of having an accident is bigger. And these players, they play in high speed, and sometimes accidents can happen. But we don't expect that. The question on Motiv is a big thing. It's not a big thing. Let's see if he can play the match or no. Not yet clear that he cannot play. But even if he cannot, it will not be a big thing. It's just the period of time between matches is so small that even a small thing can condition the fact that he can play. We are waiting for tomorrow morning to try to have the last assessment, last tests, and then we see if he can play.
Last question, please.
Hi, Coach. Yes, I want to ask you about John Arias. If you can tell me what do you think about him and his level of play, because I think he has been one of the most important players for Fluminense in these 2 games. Thank you.
Yeah, not only in the 2 games, but throughout the season. When you look the data, and we make a qualitative analysis, and then we make a parallel quantitative analysis, so that then we fuse the things and we have a clear idea about the teams, the opponents. It's clear the impact of John Arias on the offensive output of the team. We need to deal with him, of course. But it's not only him, it's the relation between him, the fullback, the midfielders. That right side has more output rather than the left, despite the left is high qualified also. John is a high-level player that can decide games. But something I always tell today when we enter the stadium, I look around, and I've been in almost all stadiums throughout the world. When I look around and I say, if the guys cannot play here, where they want to play? It's ultimately where you want to play, at the streets. That's where you come from. Here is where you want to be. So we have to play against the best. Then if we succeed, if we can win duels, and to stop John Arias, you have to win duels, but you have to close his spaces as a team also, not only allow him to play 1-against-1, because 1-against-1 he's very strong. So we have to double ourselves, we have to make him play in short spaces, but we have to make the same work on the left when the ball will change. Fluminense tries to take the ball to one side and then change quick on the other side to try to promote him in space, 1-against-1 or 1-against-2 or 2-against-2 situations, but with bigger spaces. So that's what we need to do, cover one side, try to not allow the ball to rotate on the other, or delay it as much as possible, and then also quickly reposition ourselves on the opposite side. I just hope that my players are tested, and that in the end I can say, okay, we have level in our defenders, because they could cope with him. That's a fantastic challenge.
Thank you, Coach, for coming, and thank you for everyone. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.